Rob Winterton is a tech policy writer from Young Voices. He joins us on the show, and Patrice Lee Onwuka, senior policy analyst, Independence Women's Forum, and we welcome back attorney Robert Patillo. You know, have you ever been scammed? Hopefully the answer is no. I want you to take a look at this package that one of our stations somewhere in America put together, talking about scams and how we're so vulnerable to these scams. You know, Rob, when you look at the package, we give them permission by engaging them on the telephone. And it's interesting, the image was someone who was a senior citizen, but the senior citizens are not the only victim of these scammers.
No, not at all. I mean, I'll be up front. Our organization, the organization I work at, was a victim of a scam recently, or an attempted one. This impacts people all over the country, people of every age, and on all sorts of mediums.
More.
Yeah, no, I think that while there are many new avenues where people are trying to scam people online, people are trying to scam people over the phone, scamming is an age-old crime. And I think a lot of the things that we need to remember as consumers, as people obviously care about our own finances, is the old rules are still the same. If someone's asking for you to send them money and you don't know them, then be wary.
Well, why would you send someone money in the first place you don't know? Let's just start there.
I think that there's also, we have to recognize that there are extremely intuitive scammers. So one of the things that scammers are now doing, and I know this because a whole group of my friends were in this batch, is using social media for their scamming. So there are people who will fake profiles of people who you know, your friends or your family members, and carry on conversations with you as if, you know, now they've hit some hard time or something, and they've developed an understanding of who you are from your social media site. So they can talk to you and carry on a conversation about where you were last weekend, you know, a party you recently went to, this relative's last birthday, anything, basically because you put it out there on social media already. So they are basically a faux cousin of yours or a faux aunt who is now in distress for rent or something else, and all of a sudden, you know, you're kind of taken.
So I think what's unique here with technology, you know, scammers are taking advantage of our vulnerabilities, but also our increased trust online. Interestingly, the Better Business Bureau, they looked at the types of scams that people are susceptible to. And social media, people are engaging more, falling for social media scams, and losing money to them at a higher rate than email, than telephone scams, because I think we know that if somebody's calling up asking for money, it's probably a scammer. But in social media, when you see a company selling, shapewear, you're thinking, oh, this looks like a legitimate website. You go to the website, a lot of them they look very legitimate. You put your information in there, and you never get the product, or unfortunately, your information gets stolen. So I think there's a lot more trust online than I think than the kind of trust that we have in regular telephone scams.
And I think we also have to hit on the point that we do have to legislatively do something about cybersecurity and the amount of information, the access to our information online. The fact that you can think about a sweater and then an ad will pop up in your Gmail or on your Facebook. Me and my wife had a conversation about something completely obscure, and there was an ad on our Facebook page within 10 minutes.
So how is that possible? Do you have Siri? Is Alexa?
They all claim that they don't listen,
but how's that possible?
we all know that they do. Let's be realistic.
I don't think the largest companies in the United States are lying plank pointed through their teeth.
Well, how does that happen so quickly, though? Because, I mean, I've seen it happen with me firsthand. So help me on this. Coincidence?
They're very smart with the technology that they're developing, and it may not sound like the politest thing to say, but a lot of us are not as unique as we think we are. Someone in their 20s living in D.C. buying shirts is not a unique experience. That's a common thing, and
so they're rolling the dice
based on that. No, they're smart. It's more than just gambling here. But these are smart technologies, and people are really enjoying the advertising that they're seeing online, and I think that that is putting a lot of money into this system where targeting advertising is working for people.
But that makes it amazingly easy to scam people because of the ad algorithm knows exactly what you're looking at. Then the scammer knows to send you an Amazon fake advertisement that you click on, and then they have your information. So it's very easy to scam people.
These are two very separate issues, though. One is about targeted advertising from legitimate businesses. Small businesses all around the country have benefited hugely from inexpensive advertising on social media platforms and through search platforms.
But social media has not separated those those legitimate small businesses from the ones that are sightseeing.
That's not true either. That's not true either. In the last 6 months of last year.
Why is everybody getting taken on social media?
Well, not everybody.
In a lot of cases,
It certainly happens.
Let me hear my tech expert explain this, because he has my attention.
In the last 6 months of last year, the largest social media platforms, so Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, removed 2 billion posts associated to fake accounts and removed 3 billion posts and accounts associated to spam. The idea that they're doing nothing, or the idea that they are just letting this all just happen, is false. Now, of course, content moderation is not perfect. Mistakes will be made. But and that's where, you know, we're seeing this evidence now where people are falling victim to these scams. But these platforms are getting better and better every year at finding solutions and at stopping these scammers from reaching people. And also, as a consumer, it is important that when we see these scams, when we see things that we find suspicious, that we report them, we do our due diligence, as consumers have always had to.
Already expected. Well, now you've just been scammed by something which even someone who's vigilant can fall victim to.
I think it's important not to be, too doom and gloom. Things are getting better online, and online services are getting better at finding scams and blocking them and filtering them, specifically on email, filtering them out of your inbox. Certainly, a lot of the larger services are putting together some really, really innovative technologies to ensure that situations like those you just described don't happen. But something I wanted to touch on that I think is, not really recognized in this debate, especially and specifically when talking about scams over social media and email, is a law exists which allows these companies to be able to try and help prevent scams and to remove scams off their platforms. But that law is currently being debated, and there are some that think it should be taken away. That law is Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. And I just wanted to plug that as an important thing that maybe people haven't heard of it, maybe people won't hear of it, seeing as it is a pretty technical issue. But I think it's important to touch on as this law needs to be maintained so that these online platforms are able and enabled to be able to remove harmful content, including the scams that we're talking about here today.
What are the simple things that everyday Americans don't do to make sure they have the least chance of being scammed? Patrice?
Number one, we don't change our passwords regularly enough, especially when it comes to email. It's suggested probably every 60 days. It seems very onerous to do that so quickly, but I think the more we change our passwords, the less susceptible we are to the people who are always trying to get into our emails and get access to our information. Number two, if it feels funny, it probably is funny. And number three, do a little bit of extra research. So if you get that email that says, I think we're all used to, okay, I've got $1 million for you. If you just send me $1,000, I'll release you some of it. We all get that that's wrong, but it's those other emails, those other correspondence that do look legitimate. So can we Google and find out if anybody else has received something similar? And very often, we are not the only ones to be targeted. So a little bit of extra legwork goes a long way.
I would probably also say don't use public Wi-Fi. Because it is very easy for hackers to get into a public Wi-Fi system. And at that point, if you've logged in and you have any of your logins for your bank information, your email, they automatically have it, regardless of if you open those things while you're actually there or not. There are several restaurants in D.C. that have actually filed with police looking into this, because there are members who've come there to enjoy their services, bought food, and then a couple of days later, their money is gone. So I would definitely say if it is a public service, a public open Wi-Fi, it's probably smart not to log into it.
And I think everyone needs to kind of come together too. If you see a scam, don't just laugh at it and ignore it. Report it to the platform, maybe even law enforcement. Make sure that, like, you're not just saying, I know that I shouldn't, do anything here. I know I shouldn't send off my money, but you can help protect the more vulnerable people that are perhaps more susceptible to these scams by reporting them on the platforms that you use as well.